Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 30th episode of the HSBG podcast. 30, I'm actually pretty surprised we got to 30, but hey, we did it. I'm your host, Educatedcollins. I'm here with our constant co-host, Shady Bunny. How you doing?
I am doing very well, Collins. I'm happy to have Bofer on as well.
Yes. Introducing our special guest, Bofer HS, dude. It's nice to have you here. Always great to have experienced, super strong, super good. Every time I watch, I'm a little impressed. So it's always good to have those people on the channel and just like talk about strategies, concepts, topics, maybe patches and things like that. So how you been? How you doing? How is today?
Oh, thanks for having me on. I'm Bofer. For those of you that don't know me, I stream daily on Twitch. Play, high MMR BGs on NA. Nothing crazy here. Really just like to play the game, learn live on stream, interact with chat, do the normal thing. And pushing multiple accounts in the top 50 right now and going for multiple accounts, 2 accounts in the top 25, in the top 10. We do our normal thing every day. It's the same thing, learning Battlegrounds by playing Battlegrounds on stream.
Yeah, there's always there's a number of people, whenever I'm doing a queuing into a match and I see their name, I'm like, gotta sit up. You have to be one of them. So it's always nice, but glad to have you on. Any thoughts about Hearthstone, or did you come from did you play Arena? Did you play Construct? A lot of like me and Shady, right? We played Arena before we moved to Battlegrounds. Did you do anything like that, or were you just like, Battlegrounds, this is my game, let's go?
Well, I mean, back in the early days, we're talking like closed beta to open beta of Hearthstone. I played a lot of Standard and Arena. Arena back then being the primary way to
get money,
effectively play free to play and just generate as many card packs as you needed. Played thousands and thousands of Arena games back in the day, and then stopped maybe 2 or 3 years into Hearthstone. Once I saw Battlegrounds being released, though, it drew me right back into the scene. It was like a 3-4 year hiatus from Hearthstone, and then came back, and now we're here again.
Damn, dude. Battlegrounds bringing people back. So you can really, they definitely made something special with Battlegrounds. And, being able to just pull people and get them together and create a big community about it. So love having you here. And moving on to the first topic, we always, for some reason, I think it's my fault, talk about the Battlegrounds weekly overview, just kind of talking about how you did this week. I believe the patch was last week, so this has really been like the week of really learning the patch, understanding the patch, really figuring out, do you like this patch or not? And for me particularly, I've been enjoying it. I've actually been playing, actually grinding, trying to learn, playing off stream, watching streams, doing all the funky stuff. So I've actually been enjoying it quite a bit. So I've been having a lot of fun. How about you guys?
You go first, Bofer.
Cool. I mean, I personally think this is one of the healthiest metas we've ever had. I mean, it's only a weekend. It's pretty hard to make that claim. It's a bold claim, right? Healthiest meta ever. But we do have a lot of viable tribes. The most oppressive tribe in my mind is Mechs. And Mechs being the most oppressive isn't the end of the world, because it does offer a lot of counterplay and it slows the game down. It's not like when, Eudora was massively overpowered and the game was shaped by somebody doing 30 plus to people on turn 7. So it gives you time to counterplay, given it's all counterplay within the scope of tempo versus tempo type of matchups. And what I think we're seeing on NA a lot is very, very high tempo lobbies that kind of inhibit you from playing those greed level to 6 type of lines. Occasionally you get high rolls and you can just go straight to 6 type of things. But the number of games we're spending sitting on 4 and whatnot is that's a little bit of a problem. There are definitely some issues, but overall it's a pretty fun patch. And like you said, I've been playing off stream quite a bit too. And usually if you're playing in your free time, the same game that you're streaming all day,
right, that's good.
That's a good sign.
Yeah. I definitely agree.
I've been enjoying it for sure. I do think there are some key issues, and these are issues that we pointed out before the balance patch was going to happen, and it's pretty much exactly what we thought it would be. Like Gem Splitter is just, I mean, I don't know, it's crazy.
Very strong, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm selling my flat disk to make room for the gem splitter, there's a problem, right? Like literally did that today. We're like, yep, out you go, piece of
Yep,
trash.
yep.
So that's one thing. The one thing I would say, overall, I agree. Very, very positive, very fun, and lots of different directions. The one thing that I dislike is that you have this mackerel versus Prester interaction where mackerel is very good and Mex is very good, and then Prester takes a giant dump on it. And it's this thing where you feel compelled to play Divine Shields and you feel hopeless if someone has a Prester. So my immediate thought is remove both mackerel and Prester, because I agree that mackerel is bullshit and that it feels really good to Prester one if you're on the other end.
Mhm.
But I think that like every other Divine Shield comp suffers so hard from Prester being in the game. So that after playing a lot on the new patch, that's what I find my frustration with when I get relegated to a top 2 automatically because my opponent has a Prester and I'm playing a Divine Shield composition.
For sure. Yeah, I would say that when you have a rock, paper, scissors type of scenario, which is
Yeah.
usually what Battlegrounds kind of devolves into, you have a level of greed, level of tempo, a couple tribes that are really, the rock, the paper, the scissors that counter each other. If you're still able to play mechs and get high average placements, even though there's a unit like Presters in the game, and you're still incentivized to play it, you put yourself in those positions a lot where you're just going to end up with, I lose to this if they have it. And then you feel hopeless for the next like 4 combats as you're like, well, we're going to lose to this no matter what. And even if it's like it's pseudo balanced from like a competitive standpoint, it's not fun to do. And you want to look at Battlegrounds from a standpoint of both being competitive and being fun, right? Like you can't ignore the fun portion. And if it just feels bad to get into those situations, then hopefully you get some changes there.
I had this game earlier today. Funny, earlier today. I've never said that. Where I fought a Shutterwalk. I think it was turn 6, right? He had. I'll give you the exact comp. He had like Mama Bear, the Beast Token, Beast Token, Beast Token, Amalgadon, Eliza. So it was like Amalgadon, Eliza, Beast Token, Beast Token, Beast Token, a Mama Bear. Turn 6, 8 gold. 8 gold. Hey, this is his comp. And I'm just like, well, all right, so my plan now is to dodge him, let him kill people, fight the dead guy, and then fight the other guy and get top 2. That was what I did. I was like, well, the game is over. It's turn 6. The game is over. I just need to dodge him for the rest of the match until I'm top 2. So it's like, damn, what do you do here? Like there's not really anything I did. And I was just watching everyone else die. I was like, oh, he took 32. I wonder who he fought. Oh, okay. Well, he took 23. I wonder who. It's just like, what is going on? How do you do this? And like the chat was just like, I thought they nerfed it. I thought Blizzard fixed it. I'm like, no, I didn't fix it. It's just more high roller. You can still do the same thing, but if you don't get it, you lose, right? But if you don't get it, it's like super nutty. So, like, how they kind of need to deal with that. It's just sometimes Blizzard drops the ball on those kind of things where it's like, yeah, we try to fix it. We messed up, but we're not gonna touch it until like the next month. Even though we messed up, like, yeah, okay.
It's a pretty deep wound that we put a band-aid on top of. We have the damage cap now, and we have it costs 2 gold to push the hero power button. If you still hit runner tokens on the first 3 turns, you weave that hero power in, no problem. You do the full level up to take 6 stars, redeem your second one because you float 2 gold anyway. You didn't fix the high roll. What you did do was make the high roll less often, or happen less often, right? Because you can't just roll a couple times and find those tokens still. So either way, though, let's be honest. A hero that generates a board full of 6 stars in the middle of the game, and when I say turn 6 is the middle of the game, that is not healthy for this game. There are only 2 or 3 heroes that realistically make that happen, and one that makes that happen in like 20% of games it plays isn't good for the game. Yeah. It feels terrible to be on the other side, and when you're on that side, you get a laugh for like 30 seconds, but then you get to deal with it 7 times before you do it to somebody else again.
Yeah. That's what I did. I laughed.
Then I cried. You said something there I'd like to piggyback on. And that's that feeling of hopelessness. That turn 7, turn 6, you're like, damn, I can't win this lobby. I found myself saying that this meta more than any meta. And I started by saying today that, like, I think this is a very healthy meta, but the feeling of helplessness still pertains in this meta. It persists. It is, once you see somebody get ahead, you're playing 100% for tempo right now, and that usually means giving up first place. And that could be a hook toss that gets ahead, that could be a shutter walk, it could just be somebody that you see taunts up a mech roll early and there's no dragons in your lobby, and you're like, well, how do I compete with this from my position on Tavern 4? I don't really want to, like, level to 5 and get exactly one piece to be competitive with it, because I'm going to get 8th or 7th doing that more times than not. So now I have to play for like a second place line. It's like you're playing Daryl in those games over and over and over again going, I'll just take a tempo finish. And that, I mean, that's not a great feeling.
Hard to.
I don't want to be overly down on the meta, but that's
hard
like
to
that
adjust,
feeling of hopelessness is definitely prevalent right now.
Yeah, that's definitely fair. Kind of hard to deal, but we're definitely probably going to go into that more as we have a topic specifically targeted on the changes. But usually we talk about one hero, one minion in particular. Usually I just kind of roll a dice. That's not true. I don't roll a dice at all. But, I pick something that I think is going to be interesting. And this week I decided to go with Fungal Mancer Flurgle. I really chose this hero because we talked about it earlier. We've talked about this hero a lot, actually. This hero pops up quite a bit because it's so interesting in that there's been times where it's like, I hate this hero. And then there's other times where it's like, oh, this just got released. I want to play it. And then we're like, nah, we hate it again. And then the patch came out. Hero got buffed. And I was like, maybe it's playable. Shay was like, maybe it's not. And then like the next week, Shay's like, this is my jam now. And I'm like, oh, I don't really like it.
When they changed it, Swolefin wasn't in, and the little 3-2 wasn't in either, right?
Alt scale. So,
yeah, you weren't as strong with just cycling Murlocs, but yeah,
sure.
Like initially when they buffed it, the hero power, Collins was like, it's gonna be good. I was like, yeah, it's gonna jump from like dead last to almost not last. And
right. That's what it did. That's what it did exactly. That it moved from like almost a half of a rank below the second to last hero to almost the second to last hero. From that change alone, you're like, oh, it's a good buff, but it doesn't make an impactful change to it, right?
It's really sad when you say like, that's good. Flurg is almost not last anymore. That's
almost
a huge
playable.
buff.
I believe.
Now that's specific to MMR ranges, right? Like Flurgle's been decently good at lower ratings for quite some time, like at least playable.
Right.
It's just at a competitive level, it falls off a cliff because it's easy to counterplay and it's inconsistent.
Until now, yes.
Until now. Now we're in a whole new Flurgle-filled world.
Go for it, Shady.
All right, yeah. So I find this guy really consistent right now. Like we're talking games where I take like 4 triples for a brand, I whiff everything, and I come in second. And I'm just like, wow, that's insane. Just by the shops where you're like, sell the cold light, buy the cold light, sell the cold light, buy the cold light. That happens, right?
I like that dance. That dance is good.
That's amazing. And you're getting so much health because you have this golden honcho on the board that gives you +4 health every time you play a Murloc. You have this golden war leader giving you attack. You might have a 7 already generating the poison. So very cool. It's just that if you play him in a mech lobby,
I was gonna say it. I was gonna say
you gotta play like 6 Murlocs and a ghoul. that's your comp. Like the ghoul is part of the roster. Like that guy's here to stay.
It's so different how in this particular meta how you have to change everything because mechs are in. Either you're just gonna be the mech guy, or you're gonna be like, well, I'm gonna, Prester super valuable, Ghoul super valuable. Let me make sure that these are part of my comps in every battle, pretty much, because I don't want to have to sell it and roll to buy a different version. So, it's pretty impactful just the fact that mechs being in or not. But generally for Flurgle, I've been liking it. It's been good. It feels like I'm not 100% dependent on brand, which is what I felt before when I played this hero, where I would get some stuff, I would get it there. Maybe I'll get a what's it called? The 5-drop, the 6-3. You know the one that does the Virgo. But if I didn't get a brand, then I just didn't have the scaling to match anyone else. But now I feel with, especially that 2-drop Honcho, if you get that early, you just feel so like, I can do it. Like you can feel like, oh, I can scale with the best of them, you know, in a sense. And you know, you can get the brand. It's very good if you get the brand. If you don't, you can still survive and you can still do well. So it feels nice, and you can always like tack in some selflesses at the end to get those divine shields if you need them. So I've been liking this hero. It feels pretty nice.
No doubt that it is way better than it was before. In fact, it was at certain MMRs, it's almost the top hero right now statistically, right? So top 5 in some of the like the top 20 to top 50% range according to HS Replay. That being said, it was actually really, really, really good prior to this patch, like after the overhaul patch, but before they nerfed Doomsayer and everything. And it's only gotten better since then. So we're leaving ourselves in a position where playing a solitaire comp like Flurgle does, he kind of does something different than what the average person does, because people don't generally buy up Murlocs. He plays into his own hero power. That's competitive with people that all play the same tribes, and Flurgle's always going to be in a position that he's relatively strong if everybody's fighting over the same resources. Because Flurgle just gets access to his resources reliably. Now, that being said, mechs are a huge problem to Flurgle. You lose to like a taunted mech roll, you know? Like you lose to one thing. It's really, really hard to deal with. But as you said, you just kind of tech the ghoul and you hope for the best. You play your little solitaire game over here, ignore the lobby, keep that ghoul on the board, cycle Murlocs, and take your positive MMR. Like, you'd be foolish not to play the hero right now. I mean, I love any hero that plays a different game. I love Daryl, I love Flurgle, I love Millhouse, I love, you know, any of the heroes that change up the rules so you don't feel like you're doing the same thing every single game. So I'm glad it's part of the meta. It just suffers at the hands of the overlords that are mechs.
Yeah. Those overlords, they do some damage, but definitely overall we think Flurgle, great hero, pick it up. Unless you've never played, no, even if you've never played Flurgle in your life, I think I might. You know, we talked about earlier, and I was like, oh, if you've never played Flurgle, I'd never recommend it. But now, I think you can
Murlocs and buy the Murlocs.
Yeah, just sell the cards, buy it.
Yeah. To give like how to, you know, for dummies Flurg, for me that would be, don't use your hero power until you're on tier 3. On tier 3, shuffle the stuff off your board that's not Murlocs. Try to get pairs, and then when it's time to triple, level to 4, shoot for a brand, shoot for a Begurgle, shoot for a 7, and then take it from there. And then once you're on 4, you can shuffle into Primal Fins, and that's when the real fun starts.
Sounds good.
Now, I've seen a couple people that advocate for staying on 1 for a while. A couple very, very, very good players. That being said, I'm on board with it. Shady that said there. Kind of just go to 2, go to 3, like on a normal curve type of line. Once you go to 4, you're looking to cycle, looking for triples, hit Bran, hit the Sephin, and then you can just play into that. The other line that seems to be prevalent, though, is banking triples on 1, kind of like a Rafam or a Chinese curve, to be able to stay until turn 6 or turn 7, bank a couple triples, then try to double level. Honestly, the downside of that line to me and why I don't buy it is that you don't get salt scales. And salt scales are your backup plan. If you miss on Bran, you can still cycle everything with salt scales because that you need to be on 2 to get a hold of those. 1 or 2 of those in the mid game makes it so you aren't even losing rounds anymore. The extra stats that you're picking up just playing the game like normal as Flurgle is keeping you ahead of the tempo of the lobby. And if you're stable and healthy at like 30 health going to 4, you're in a really good spot to almost guarantee a top 4. And then if you high roll and you hit the brand, you're competitive for first.
Yeah, that's really
just interesting seeing 2 ways of playing it.
Yeah,
yeah, for sure.
I guess one like forces the 5 if you Chinese curve it, where the other one you get the consistency of maybe hitting those honchos and then using the honchos to kind of make sure even if you don't get those triples, which honestly it's very easy to triple with this hero. So I don't even know if you need to force the 5s, but if you just play it normally and you don't get the 5s by some like early or quick enough, then you still have the honcho scaling to keep you alive. So I think it's all right.
Absolutely.
I will also add that one of the most fun things to do is once you are on 5 and you're tripling into 6s, you get the chef guy, the 5/5 that makes a Murloc golden. So if you have a brand, you just start playing APM Murlocs because you pretty much every chef you can target onto a primal fin, and a golden primal fin is so likely to give you a triple, and then you get another discovery, and then you get another chef. And then, like, I've literally had turns where I do that the whole time, and then I'm like, okay, I gotta hold this golden primal fin for next turn because I don't have enough time to play it this turn.
Jeez,
That's some good shit when you get that.
It was very good.
I want that. I want that life.
It's good. Chase it, Collins. Chase it.
I need to play more Flurgo, apparently. Here, the minion we shall be talking about this week as well will be Witchwing Nest Matron. So this is a card that really didn't get talked about last patch because everything was all the Avenges really were overshadowed. We're all overshadowed by the Doomsayer card, and now that Doomsayer is really not as demanding, or it doesn't demand the presence that it used to. Now some of the other Avenge cards are starting to jump in the limelight, and I've seen a couple people, myself included, start playing with this card a little bit more, and it actually feels quite good. And I've had some games where I had to choose between this and Doomsayer. I'm like, why would I even take Doomsayer here? This actually does what I need. Like, gives me the card. It's easier. It's quicker Avenge, and it's been working out for me. So I just kind of want to get your thoughts on this card. How you feel about it? If you think it's playable, if you think it's actually good. Da-da-da.
You want to go first, Beaufort?
Sure. I think it's a pretty solid card. In general, you're looking at this card when you don't have a composition on the board. If you're trying to take this to generate specific battle cries, you're going to be out of luck. If I've heard many people say in chat, hey, you have a Calicos on the board, just take the Witchwing, and then you'll get more battle cries to scale Calicos. It's like, it's such a pipe dream to make any of this kind of stuff happen. But when you're in the middle of the game, you level to 4 on like 8 gold or 9 gold, you don't have any composition, you see that Witchwing, it's going to pay itself back. It's a decent stat line with a 3/5. Have 1 Accolade or have 1 Taunt on the board, it's almost guaranteed that you're getting 1 proc off of it. Get 2, it's already paid its gold back. It's a relatively low-cost thing that gives you an advantage over the course of the mid-game. Hit 1 decent battle cry, and you just skyrocket, right? You compare this to like the average 3-star or 4-star that you'd see on those boards, and it's a no-brainer that you pick it up. Is it staying past like turn 8 or turn 9? No. But isn't that what we want out of cards? They're situationally good. There are ways to use them, and they aren't oppressive and make an in-game composition out of a 3 or a 4-star. If we compare it to Doomsayer, it's nothing, but Doomsayer is not healthy for the game. This feels like the correct place to have generation and the correct amount of generation off of it.
Yeah, it always feels good if I triple into it and I have nothing else to do, and I have like the 2/2s taunt, the 2/2 taunts, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get 1 or maybe 2 if I'm lucky. Yeah, it always feels like, all right, I like this card.
Makes Acolyte such a better card to have on your board.
Yeah, Acolyte's so busted. Like not really, but like actually like a really good card.
It's everywhere, man.
You're never really sad about it.
I think it's one of those cards that has this very, very limited window where it's good. And I think it's quite dangerous for a lot of players where I see so many people with this on their board and they're taking 15. And I'm just like, that's not worth it, bro. That's not worth it.
One more turn, baby. Let's go.
One more milk. One more milk.
Yeah, I want that 1 extra useless battle cry.
It's just, I've had some. So, like, I've had 2 games where this card was insane for me. Like, one was completely unfair because I was Eudora and I dug it golden. Oh. And then I held it and I tripled it into I played it for a Caligos and I was like, woohoo! Golden Matron, Caligos. So that was the dream. I was just farming. So, but, completely unreasonable. The other one, I'm the reason. I'm the reason Twitch chat is like.
Yeah, that's your fault.
Yeah, like.
Were you playing Twitch chat?
But the other one was with Hook Tusk, and that felt really nasty. Where what I usually do with Hook Tusk is if I get a token triple early, that moment with Hook Tusk where you're like, damn, I can't shoot anything anymore because everything's triples, and I gotta play stuff. So I usually go to tier 3, and then I just play my golden token and I pull a 4-drop. And if on that moment that 4-drop is Witchwing Matron, and you have this board full of tokens. Oh my god, that's so good, because then double token lobby, you could get more tokens, you just get fodder to use your hero power on. So I think, like Collins mentioned earlier, tripling into it is really nice.
Yeah, you reminded me. I had a game where I got like 3 Murloc Tidehunters in 2 turns off of it. It just gave me. I was like, oh, 2 gold. Oh, 2 gold. Oh, a triple. I was like, what? What's going on? I was like, this is really nice. I was very happy that game. So yeah, it's nice. And I sometimes always forget there's battle cries that give you extra gold. It's not like always 1 gold, right? Sometimes you can get 2 gold off of it. Sometimes you can get the plus 3 gold from the Demon Eater, right? So you can get multiple gold off of it. So it's not even like there can be high rolls off the like just playing it normally. You just high roll off multiple gold. You're like, well, now my curve fits perfectly. So yeah, I do think with Doomsayer falling falling down a little bit, a lot of the other Avenge cards are feeling a little bit better. Like all the Avenge cards really, I think, are pretty playable. I wouldn't say there's like a super bad one, which I'm like, I hate this one. You know, I think before it was like, if you're not Doomsayer, get out. But now it's like, okay, there's a room for all of you, so it's good the same.
I think you can piggyback slightly on that conversation from what both of you said together, where one was, or Shady was saying, like, you don't want to overstay on Witchwing because, you know, it doesn't really give you that much. It will cost you rounds, and when you start taking like 10 plus damage because you're greeting a Nest Matron, you generally speaking have kept it too long because it really isn't giving you any tempo on the board. And then talking about which Avenge minions are pretty good, if you compare like Nest Matron to Green Thumb, that's the 3-star minion that gives a +2/+1 buff to adjacent minions on Avenge 3.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
Like that one existing, the vast majority of the time, I'd rather have a Green Thumb on my board than a Witchwing. And that's a tavern tier below anymore. We're talking about a card that is effectively able to generate long-term stats as long as you have 1 permanent minion on your board, preferably 2. And if you compare the value of getting like 1 extra Battlecry minion, 1 extra gold, to permanent potentially 4/2 buffs per turn on minions that stay on your board, say you find an early Deflecto or Divine Shield Dragon or whatever it may be, those are night and day level of difference. So sure, all the Avenge minions, I agree completely. They all exist and they are all playable at this point. Some of them obviously overperform over other ones.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It seems like we overall like the card, think it's playable, has a place in the meta, and not like
for sure
overbearing or something. This isn't like the new Doomsayer. I just wanted to talk about the card. All right, moving on to the next topic. We have the patch 21.3. Were the changes good? This is like just an open-ended kind of discussion here.
I can start on this.
All right, go for it.
We don't have demons destroying every single lobby, so yeah, mission accomplished there. That's really nice. Frogger isn't oppressive at most ranks, which was kind of weird because it was good definitely at certain MMRs, and then it was like better at other, or just we'll call it better at some ranges. Oppressive in general, leapfroggers plus demons, that's been brought back down in line. What we've created are a couple new monsters, and that always happens with patches. Let's be real, that there's gonna be imbalances. Meckrel's a pain in the ass. APM Elementals on Millhouse is incredibly strong right now. I see your Master of Realities with the little buff there, gives you that idea. But in general, were they healthy changes? Yes. Do we need another patch? Would it be great to have weekly little tweaks? Absolutely. There are definitely outliers. Is a Mega Buster a little bit too busted? Yes, it is.
Hey! You're skipping topics.
No, that's in the patch too. In general. There are things that are too strong, absolutely, but a good patch in general.
I do agree with everything you said. Pretty much, you are correct there. I think what they set out to target has been effectively targeted. The cards that they changed, right, feel pretty, like they feel okay. Like they don't, things that used to be strong and were specifically targeted are now like okay. Some, I would argue maybe Smuggler like got like the short end of the stick. Like, sometimes I look at Smuggler and I'm like, what is this card now? But the issue is that because they've they really only targeted the very specific, like the like flashing lights, nerf me, nerf me, nerf me. Like some of the other like very obvious like minions hiding in the shadow that were like, ah, yes, I'm not, you know, they're like, you know, that meme where the like the bear's looking the other way. It's those guys that are just like, I'm not doing anything, you know. I just get divine shit every time my brother does. You know, like
That's fine. Totally balanced.
I'm fine, you know, just moving the other way. A Mega Buster, like chilling, like I'm just a Goldrin. It's like I'm fine. You know, just like casually looking around, and it's like, yeah, well, these cards were obviously going to be problems after you nerf them. So it's a little weird because we kind of talked about what is going to be a problems after their patch, and it's very correct. Like it's very predictable, at least is what I would say. What was going to be problems after the patch, and fortunately, they did address what the flashing light. So good on them, but still, like there were some pretty obvious problems that were still going to occur with the current patch state. So I would love to see more patches.
To head off that a little bit, like little tweaks to the things we think are going to creep up after the patch.
Yeah, I mean, they have the stats. Like, I don't know if that's like super. I mean, the problem with the stats is like it's like demons, dragons. You know, they're like so much higher than they're like mechs are like doing okay, but they're not like demons, dragons. Let's not touch them. You know, but when you nerf all the other stuff, it's pretty impactful. Like sometimes I'm always shocked how impactful like adding a card is, or removing one card, or making a 1 into a 2. We talk about this a lot when it comes to patches. Like, damn, that changed the whole hero or the whole card. It's now unplayable, or now it's the strongest hero in the game. So it's pretty incredible. And sometimes I would love to see them do like small little patch weekly or even bi-weekly if they're not want to be that efficient with it, and just like touch things that like small like little adjustments on things that are very clearly overpressive or things. So yeah, I agree. What about you, Shady?
So in terms of the frequency of patches, I'm probably a little bit the odd one out because I actually don't like it when my game would get patched every week. It's actually why I left TFT, because I just couldn't deal with it. It was just too many changes too fast, and it felt every time I put in the time and the effort to learn the meta, new one. Just because, you know, like changes just come in like that. What I do agree with, obviously, is if there's these big glaring issues, but obviously that is subjective, right? Like, what is a big glaring issue? Is it too much? I think Doomsayer and Frog were sort of universally accepted as, yeah, this gotta go. But some people might look at this meta and say, I mean, this is not really a problem. So, yeah, I think that their current speed at updating, as long as it's the I think they could have been a bit faster on Doomsayer and Frog. They were gathering data and they had this preset date, but I feel like it was, you know, that one was so obvious and so ridiculous that could have been faster. So I don't think you can have this preset schedule for the nerfs. I think you gotta react to what's happening, right? You gotta see this shit in the field, and you know, you could have nerfed that at weekend easily, right? Like a week is a lot of time for seeing people just rush to 6 on, what was it, 6 on 6 or some stupid shit with Doomsayer. You just go straight up. So in that regard, it's not it's weird, right? It's essentially on a case by case, I would say. I don't want to have this steady like, oh, we want to have nerfs every so often, but you know, when it's needed, it's needed. As for the patch, yeah, I mean, of course, it made the game a lot better. It was low-hanging fruit in some regard, but I will say that Whelp Smuggler, I think they did a good job with, where this now feels like a 2-drop, where it's sometimes... Yeah, right, like it's a 2-drop, right? It's not supposed to be a card you build your entire comp around.
I want to build around it.
Like, it's a 2-drop now, but you know, if I have a Kali, I'm like, ooh, let me snag that and just like squeeze the value a little bit and then sell it later. That's perfect. That's what you want.
The number of people that have tried to make the case, well, how do you win the lobby with Whelp Smuggler now? That have said that in my chat. I swear to God, like the answer is you don't win lobbies with 2 stars, man. They're situationally useful in the mid game, or at least it even fits in the Calicos. Like, what more do you want out of a 2-star? Come on.
I want to get one health as well. You know, that's all.
Yeah, I mean,
one attack as well. I mean,
it's already a 2/5 that gives an upside. Like that's a decent 2-star, a good 2-star.
Yeah, for sure.
Just make it a 3/5, and then I'm happy. You know,
Just put it on 6-star and put it back to the way it was. Obviously.
2 Caligoses. Yes, I love it. Yeah, but I agree. That's probably very true. You know, I sometimes feel like, damn, I'm not winning the game. I bought a smuggler and I didn't win. Like early on, I'm like, damn,
it sucks.
but it is a 2-star, so that is always a healthy point you want to keep in mind when you're.
Yeah, let's compare this to like Spawn. Does Spawn win you the game? It's a really good 2-star, you know? We buy it almost every time we see it. Spawn in N'Zoth is a great card. It's not winning you the game.
But it should, you know? That's the problem.
I think every card should win me the game, but lose you the game. Win me the game.
That's what I was looking at too. So overall, we like that they targeted the OPs, but there were some still obvious problems, I would say, that they didn't address, and some of us like the speed they patched things. Some of us could like it a little bit faster, or at least address on a case by case basis. So
I like the statement of low hanging fruit from Shady. We're all happy about the patch because it addressed what everybody knew needed to change. The other stuff would have been nice to have like them hedge a little bit and be like, we know this is already overperforming. Let's get that out of here before it gets too out of hand, which is kind of what they did with Smuggler. Smuggler in its old form would have been pretty strong right now. Now, you would have hoped that like Meckrel, or I'm not going to say the other card because that's coming up in a second, a few others get a little bit of a change to them too.
Thank you.
But, you know, you can't get everything. We got some low-hanging fruit, okay? We got it was a quick patch.
I love it.
Quickish.
Very, very true. Moving on to our next topic.
What could this topic be?
What could this topic be? Is Omega Buster too weak? I'd say yes. We probably need to buff it up, right? Put the 1 in the stats into a 2, right? So every time,
sure. Move it to Tavern 2.
Maybe that would be a little too much. Maybe Tavern 3, right? And then, yeah. So that you have the Macaw synergy right there. You can roll, you know, Macaw Omega Buster. You're good to go. Right? Sounds good. Anyways, yes. Jokes aside, is this card too strong? I think it is, right? I'm pretty sure everyone here is.
I think it's too strong. I'll start with that. It's too strong.
But
that being said, it is strong because mechs as a whole make use of this kind of card way better than anything else would. Mechs right now have like 3 or 4 winning compositions that can play the game, from Omega Busters to Meckrels to Ground Shaker with like Blood Gems and Gem Splitter to anything under the sun that you can piece together. And once you get people that really know how to utilize all the cards that are in the game, when you give an incredibly versatile tribe that can make use of tons and tons and tons of different avenues to take a win, then a lot of people are going to play that, right? Like, you have to hit the nuts with certain other tribes, like we talked about dragons before, or beasts, like with Goldrin and Baron and everything else to get to this level. Or you can just piece together mechs in any way, shape, or form. You see a Buster and you're like, all right, we're shooting for first.
Yeah, that's very true.
Right. Shit, you don't even need the Buster half the time. Like, the Meckrels do the job too.
You
put both of them in the same tribe and you're like, shit, this is easy.
I hate that card, dude.
I like how you have the Macaw there too with it, just like to add salt to the wound. You're like, yeah, we could do that too.
Yeah, just have a little extra, extra little power in there, just casually, Yeah, I do think it's one of those situations where, okay, mechs are in the lobby. I'm like, well, half the lobby's going mechs, and I play the game, more than half is mechs. Like, it's like, well, yeah. So anytime you have those situations, it is pretty, like, that is a pretty easy telltale sign there's kind of an issue, right? Where you've got 6 different minion types and, like, hey, half the lobby wants to play this one specific one when there's a whole avenue of things to do, but no, it's not as good. It's not as consistent. We die to this every time, right? It's sometimes when comps are like consistent and stuff, you do it right, but then that comp doesn't win, right? And you're like, okay, this is a consistent play style, but it doesn't win. This one is like, okay, it's consistent and it wins, and I like you can play around it unless you're like dragons or something, or you still lose to me. So, and the high roll of this is like one of the strongest things you can do in the game, right? Like you can just get 100 divine shield mech rolls. Like what are you doing against that? I don't even know, right? You have to be Millhouse Elementals or something of like 300.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's so tough, right? So, it's just the ease of execution really, and just how flexible it is, and how you can transition into like a perfect comp from a seemingly unperfect board, right? Like you can just start like with like pup bots, like just a couple pup bots, put it in, and you.
What it starts from, or what it benefits from, is you having what is already the highest tempo mid game board. So you can just play for the good things in the mid game, and then you're one card away from being first place. Like at all times. Like those mech mid game boards are what you want to be if you're playing for the highest average finish already. Then you throw a 6-star in there that's capable of just obliterating the lobby, and you're like, I wonder why this tribe's good. Weird.
That's really good. Yeah. My strategy for a lot of heroes, I will just check if pirates and mechs are in for Reform Curvers, essentially, because Reform Curvers are usually gathering triples for a 6-drop. So if I don't have mechs or pirates, like sometimes you'll just do it with mechs if, say, Imp Mama's in as well, like you have a good backup hit. But like I like my F right now, by the way. I don't know.
I do too, actually.
Agreed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's get some reinforcement here, because I mean the stats don't necessarily reflect it, and I don't really see very many people play it. But especially when pirates or mechs are in, it feels quite consistent to force a 6-drop, just like you did with my F before. And then you get a buster on what is it, 9 gold or something.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just
30% chance to win the lobby. How
yeah,
nice.
very good, right? And you can it interacts with your micro mummy or your pup bot immediately. And getting an Eliza, that's not bad either. So that's why I like the pirates in there. It's been good, absolutely. The thing that I've really done with my buster comps, which I feel has given me the edge over my opponents, is you just treat it like this super high-end taunt comp where I just have like 2 deflectos taunted and then just the busters in the back, and then the busters dying, resetting the deflectos, making deflectos huge, and you just watch, like I've won mirrors like that where they did not have those taunted deflectos, and in the end that makes a difference where their hits aren't doing anything and you're constantly resetting. You can add a macro there as well, and then it'll interact with the deflecto. What I see a ton of people do, and what I don't get, is they have one taunted macro, and then the rest is like busters in the front, and then there's some divine shields after that. But that macro always dies before the divine shield attacks, and I see it so often that I just don't get it. Yeah,
it's because they know the macro comp, and they're like, okay, this is good. When macro is taunted, oh yeah, this is good.
Macro's supposed to be taunted, right?
Now I can do. Let me put these megas in because this is good. Mega bust, this is good.
Honestly, that's a pretty good way to pivot this, because a lot of people want to pop those busters immediately, but you don't have to, Like if you talked about exactly that board state and you had double deflecto and you have a taunted mech roll and you have like say a buster or 2, just put them 3 and 4. You just bump with the deflectos, you reset the mech rolls a couple times, then you get the busters to go off. They reset the deflectos, and you're already there in that same situation, except you've eaten their first 2 minions with the mech roll. Like those kind of pivots or whatever you were talking about there, that's what makes mechs so good. We can do all kinds of stuff with all of these toys. It's just a question of what toys did you get this specific game.
Yeah. I've had this like really nice comp where I think Shady talked about it. I had this taunted deflecto, right? And just like a bunch of like reset omegas. It was like so funny. I was playing the macro comp, but just with deflecto because it resets every time you get a mech on the board. So I was like, damn, this is macro comp, but I have a deflecto on the board.
Just think about like 2 metas ago, prior to the overhaul patch, when Arm of the Empire deflectos was like the nuts. And what we're describing is instead of an arm comp, we just have infinite stats, like a ridiculous number of stats in the form of resets. from these Omega Busters. It's just like an Omega version of ARM taunt comp from before.
Yeah, dude, I see no one go ARM anymore, dude. It's gone. Like,
Yeah.
It has like 5 hit points on my taunts. I'd rather have 100 hit points on my taunts. No big
It's
deal.
crazy, right? Between grease spots, gem splitter, and all that, it's just there's no
Yeah.
room for ARM.
yeah.
Like I've
Well,
had, yeah. Sorry, go first, Buffer.
No, I was
Just
just
say,
gonna
what's
make a
the
joke. It's because
ARM?
ARM got nerfed to 4/4, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, unplayable now. Unplayable.
They should
Like,
buff it to 7/7.
I
That'd be much better.
4 mana 7/7. That's too strong. I had the nuts shop on George, where that shop where you've just gone to 3. You're like, all right, Bobby, what do you got for me? 2 arms. I'm just like, holy crap, I'm George, and that's 2 arms.
Those aren't
And
gem splitters, though.
I sold out of them later, like not too much later, because it's like, well, you guys don't give health as well. That's not good enough.
This is bullshit.
Yeah, but if you get 2 really early arms of the Empire on George, and I'm selling them not too much later, that should give you an indication, right, of like how powerful some of these cards are that we're working with.
When you said nuts on George, it was 2 or 3. I was like, double Cobor, okay.
Double gem splitter. Yeah,
and you were like ARM.
Game's
I was
over,
like,
man.
oh.
That's a bit too much, yeah. That is the
What is
the
this?
actual nuts. But it used to be, like if you would get 2 arms of the Empire on 8 gold as George, you would pretty much be top 2 guaranteed.
Right.
Like
It's like a 1.5 average type of thing.
You
Like,
don't
that's
get
crazy.
lower than second with that, because like you're so strong. But now, especially because like there's those like the Prester that messes with it. You have the Buster that just annihilates it, just eats your Deflectos, because the tokens.
The tokens, yeah, I know, right? That's so strong too.
Tokens kill your board.
Can't run it. Yeah, it's a good card. Now, that all said, I still like the meta. Like, it's still like, okay, like mechs are like number 1. Everyone's doing this, but I'm still enjoying my time. Sometimes like I get into like someone's taunted double macro and I lose the game when I had like 90. I lost a 98% to win today to double macro, and I was just like, I was not happy.
Man, it hurts.
But
I mean, with that being said, and a way to transition this, I honestly, if it was me making the balance change right now, I'd rather see Meckrel take a big hit than a Mega Buster. If I was
Get
one card
Meckrel
that
out
needs
the
to change
game,
it,
man.
Meckrel itself with Buster is oppressive. If you took Meckrel out of the game and had Buster in the game right now in its current form, it would still be strong. Don't get me wrong. It could still be a competitive first place type of board, but we wouldn't have this conversation about having like 35 Divine Shields on the board with those Meckrel taunt comps and all of that shit. You would have had the example of like what Shady was saying, where your high roll board is like taunted Deflectors with resets on Meckrel or on resets from Omega Busters and whatnot. But that's okay. We're allowed to have an in-game composition that works for mechs. The problem is how consistent it is right now. Take away one of the toys, we might be able to be in a better, more balanced position. Meckrel's a hard one, really hard one to balance.
I know how to balance it. Delete it. Like
Tier 7?
No. Yeah, yes. Well, actually, I mean, like as a concept, tripling on 6 give you tier 7 stuff. That's actually like not like bad. Like they do that in Storybook actually, and it's like kind of fine.
Yeah, that's always been a cyclical conversation that pops in the chat from time to time. What cards would exist if you had a tier 7? Like the one that always came back was like Holy Mackerel would have to exist like up there if it was ever good. Some people would like to put Megasar up there. Honestly, Meckrel's the same boat. Why it's on 5 is a little bit questionable to me. But yeah, it existing in the game and accessible early in the game is very, very hard to deal with. If Wind Fury or Dragons aren't in, a taunted Meckrel can just win the game with a bunch of vanilla Divine Shield units on the board. Like you could put pup bots behind it, taunt up the Meckrel and be like, lol, try to get through this, guys.
One thing I've thought about is don't make it a mech, and it only refreshes when a mech loses Divine Shield. So you can't two of them won't refresh themselves. I hate that so much. But you can still kind of put in the same comp, but it wouldn't work with a Mega. So you'd have to be a little bit. You'd have to run like some weird comp. I don't know, like full taunt brand.
Something has to give. It either can't scale well, it can't be as reliable about getting divine shields, or you can't give it divine shield up front. And right now we have all of those with mech scaling, module, all of that kind of shit. Something has to give there. Otherwise, its counterplay is like you have to have Wind Fury or you have to have Presters to be able to beat it.
And even if it has no minion type, like there's some heroes that
Make it a
can.
Murloc.
No, no, get out of here. There are some heroes that can buff up, any minion they want, right? So it makes those a little bit more viable if mechs are in, or not in. Well, it's actually not a tribe, so if it makes those a little bit more viable because you can always take that and be like Rock Initia, okay, let's go +6 +6 +5 +5, da da da. That's pretty viable, So I think that would be okay. Like I would not be as mad if I lose to that when they actually have to try. They can't just play a Mega Buster and be like, well, my comp's done. I think it's too easy, right? Like you have a Mega Buster and a Baron and you just like find two holy Mechros, which I do all the time. I just two, and I put them in and like my comp's done.
Well, you tripled into a 6. You got all the tempo in the world because Buster is like the highest tempo triple you can get from 6. Now you're on 5 for the rest of the game, and all you have to do is naturally roll into a couple 5-stars to win the lobby. Seems achievable.
Yeah, it's nuts. I don't know. So yeah, I don't know. Like I could definitely see Omega Buster being more balanced if other mechs got touched, but as it currently stands, like mechs are the way. So
yep, very strong right now.
I think even if Macro wasn't a mech, this thing is still way too
yeah,
strong.
I know.
So many boards, right? Yeah.
Something's got to give. Maybe both have to give.
Well, the Blizzard way, it'll be like, what does this thing do? Summon 6 microbots? All right, cut it down to 4. See what it does, right? This is honestly, well, I called all the nerfs on Doomsayer, on the Help Smuggler Frog, and it's just like that's how Blizzard nerfs things, right? So this is gonna go to like 5 or 4 microbots.
I bet you're right, which is like a little sad, but also like, wow, we can really predict. Like, but yeah, also like, no ingenuity in terms of like.
I'll take it a step further. We know what the nerfs is gonna be, so what's next meta gonna be, Shady? Let's go.
I think
what's gonna be broken next patch?
I think we'll figure that out when it rolls along. And maybe
like, what was a really nice surprise is that they jacked up Quill. Like I did not see that coming, and I like.
Yeah, that was nice.
You
I like the Peggy change too.
Yeah, you can play some. You can actually buy Peggy now without feeling awful about it, right? She has
another. Okay, I also really like the South Sea Captain audition as well. Like I think that was I think that's really important.
It's great having a 2-star pirate that's actually a pirate. That's great.
I agree, but yeah, it definitely makes pirates like. I see a lot more pirates, and it feels like, I could do pirates. There are some games where I'm looking at the lobby, I'm like, yep, pirates. Like, that's what I'm doing today. So it's quite nice just to have that a little bit power spike. So, I mean, we've kind of past talking about the patch, but I think some of the other like extra stuff besides like the big nerfs have been pretty good, buffing up pirates and Quillbores. I think they did need it.
That was nice, for sure.
All right, moving on to our next topic, we have got, deciding what to play from the hero selection screen. So sometimes I'm looking at the choices and I'm like, okay, these are in, I know what I'm doing. Elementals are in, mechs are out, Murlocs are out, okay. Let's go. And I just wanted to, do you guys have that same kind of feeling sometimes where you're looking at the screen, you see your hero, you're like, okay, I'm playing this hero. These are in, these are out. I know what I'm going to do. I know I'm going to lean towards heavily, that kind of thing.
Well, I can start. I think it's a healthy behavior that if you can have a difference in what heroes you want to play based upon what tribes are in and out, that's ideally what we want out of this game. Now, that being said, if it is looking at exactly 2 tribes or 1 tribes and going, this is good or bad, this is in the game, therefore the game always plays out like this, then that's too far to the extreme, right? Use last meta as an example. Every game was looking to see if the word beast or demon appeared in the set of tribes. If so, and demons is there, you're like, what goes to 3 quickly? And that was like the entire decision point for that meta. Now in this meta, I look at like if mechs are in, that shapes a lot because every game comes down to heavy tempo in the mid game and tripling in the sixes, absolutely, for a Mega Buster. Or it's one of those weird ass games where you're like, I can't find anything. How do I play for tempo right now? And if you're truly playing for like a highest average placement, then you're looking at all your heroes and going, I can't play these high roll ish heroes that are good at their own game plans if I'm gonna sacrifice all of the early game. So heroes like Yogg get better. Heroes that can go to 3, then like, limp up to 4 and triple into a 6 are much better. Triplers obviously are nuts. But mechs are that one tribe that you're looking at, and that shapes everything. If mechs are out, all bets are off. You look at the lobby and go, I have to now think about the other 5 tribes that are in this game to figure out which of these heroes is relatively good. If mechs are in, it's just what plays mechs well.
I would add on to that.
Elementals.
I would add on to that right now that the yes, mechs are obviously very good, but it's the mech Quillbore combination for me that, and I don't know if it's the same for you guys, but if those two are in, I will say that maybe 80% of my boards will end up in Ground Shaker, Deflecto, Gem Splitter, just because that interaction is so busted, and I don't really see it enough right now. Like, I'm just farming MMR of that, because would you like to have some like 30 damage Deflectos with a taunted reset and a handful of gems every turn? It's like, yeah, that's pretty good. And then you hit a gem swap piggy at some point, and then you get to harvest those gems off the shaker onto Deflectobot. So for me, if I see those two, like, I'll give you an example. Elementals were out, Millhouse was offered, but I see that Quillbores and mechs are in, and I picked Kael'thas over Millhouse. And I got first place doing that because it was just like, yeah, Kale's going to give me a little bit of extra padding early. That way, I can go to 3 a little bit faster or healthier. I start hunting for the Deflecto and the Gem Splitter. And once you have that machinery going, it's so strong. It keeps itself going. So that's what I have, where for me, Gem Splitter feels a little bit, well, not a little bit, feels way too powerful for what tier it's on.
Yeah. What you just said there, I would completely agree with, first of all. And the second part is to extend from that, saying that what Kael'thas is inherently a tempo hero, right? He just brings tempo to the mid game. You give yourself stability. And when win conditions or pseudo win conditions are on 3 and 4, then if you can just stabilize the early game, go to 3 and 4 and give yourself the ability to find those cards, and you're at 30 plus health, that average finish is nuts. And that was a dog bark. Go ahead.
Didn't hear it, buddy. Sounds great.
You want to chime in, Collins?
I don't know, dude. I'm tired. But
okay,
yeah,
never mind. I just saw you making some faces. I thought you were like,
that is my job here right now. I make those faces, and I'm like, yes, I agree with a face. No, I don't agree. But if you want me to talk, I do think mechs are pretty overpowering, right? But we can also talk about some of the other minion types that are available, right? Sometimes just the absence of Murlocs, right, I think kind of adjusts how you look at things, right? So if Murlocs are out, you're like, okay, elementals, right? Demons, they don't have that big counter, right? If Murlocs and beasts are out, then you lose the Myexna too as well, right? So it only becomes Spore. You don't have that reborn ability, right? So that also kind of shapes things when I'm looking at it. Another thing, right? When pirates are in and those are out as well, right? Like, so like demons. That is what demons. I said 3 tribes: demons, elementals, and pirates. Right? Those can really make huge stats. Right? So when you lose those abilities to easily get poisoned, right? Those come in the forefront. Right? I saw a game where 5 people were pirates. Murlocs like that. I knew I was going pirates from the beginning of the match, and everyone seemed to agree with me that was the way. And another thing you can also do, just like if mechs are in and dragons are in, and you want to win the lobby, like let's say it's like tournament setting or something, and everyone's gonna go mechs, and you're like, okay, well, dragons have Prester. Maybe instead of going to mech, I'll go dragons instead, so I can use that Prester ability to counteract that composition. So those are some of the things you sometimes have to think about, like, oh, I know people are gonna go this comp, because it's it's the comp, can I actually counter that, or will I pick up these kind of things, right? It's very similar to, oh, there's a George in the lobby, maybe I'm gonna buy this ghoul like 2 turns before I fight it,
Sure.
just in case, you know. So those are the little things I think are pretty interesting, especially in this patch. I think it's more prevalent this patch than some of the previous patches, where I'm actually looking at like all the minion types that are in, instead of like just the 1 or 2 that are really core. I mean, obviously mechs are like right now the core, but when you go past that, there's still a lot of thought and decision making coming into what you want to play and how you want to approach the game.
Another thing I think is prevalent with the tribes, if we're just going to continue talking about what tribes are in the game, is how long you should realistically be greeting and playing for a first place condition before getting to the place of like effectively folding, saying, I got to play for tempo, I just got to play to stabilize this game. And there are some certain telltale signs which are really prevalent in this meta. Like, for example, you see Millhouse has gotten multiple triples and is on 4 with elementals. You know the lobby is over. You know, like, this one's done. I'm not playing for first. Let's kill a couple people before we queue into Millhouse. Like, I played a game last night where I saw Millhouse take 2 triples on Tavern 4 on turn 6. And I was like, all right, I know what this board is. I know we never keep up with the APM elemental line. Let's just murder a couple people real quick, take our top 4, go to the next game. Or George, for example, is in your game. You see it turn 1, George is in your game and Quillboars and mechs are in. Yeah, this is going to turn into a Divine Shield fiasco. We're going to pick up that ghoul. We're going to play for dragons or whatever it might be. And you pull that ripcord a little bit earlier in those situations than you would if, say, for example, you don't have those heroes in the lobby. So maybe that's not a thing that radically changes what hero you're choosing, but it changes your game plan after like 2, 3, 4, 5 turns. And you're like already pulling a hard 180 on what you're trying to do.
It's very, very true. And I do see that a lot. So, you know, I think it's been a good discussion. These are the things I think about sometimes, you know, since these are topics that pop up in my head from time to time. I'm like, okay.
It's good. I wanna still hop onto that and ask, do you guys like it more or less when mechs are out?
Well, I mean, I win with mechs. Like, I'm gonna be honest. Like, you know, I know how to go to 6 and get a Mega Busters. Like, that is my style. So it's pretty easy for me. But do I like it more? I mean, just if you cut out, you know, win percentages and whatnot. That's a good question.
You can take your win rate into consideration. That's not a bad thing. You know, I actually liked playing demon lobbies in the last meta because I knew exactly
I kind of did too. Yeah. It's kind of clear, right? Like, the game can be super hard, and like every single decision, every roll, there's like, you know, a branch of directions, you know, in essence. And when you have like, oh, we just need to hit this one thing, or you roll or you level or you don't, like, it kind of makes things a little bit simpler, a little bit easier to play if you are fully tuned into that meta. And I do think mechs can do that sometimes in a lobby where you're like, does this help me finalize my mech comp? No, okay, I don't need it. Like, it kind of simplifies things. So that's a good point. I don't know if that makes it more fun. I mean, the real, I mean, like, as a human, it's just like, do I win more? Like, that's really the only thing I care about. So I just have to see if I win more, and then that's gonna be my answers.
I like mechs being in the game in general. I think they're one of the more, we'll call it, you have more decisions with boards with mechs in it. That might be counterplaying mech players, so you're looking at buying up stuff ahead of time. There are more pivots that you're trying to do. The games end a little bit slower, so you have more turns to play. I think it's more fun to play a lobby where you have people that high roll mechs than lobbies where you see somebody high roll APM elementals or something. Because you know that's a feeling of dread and hopelessness compared to, like, how do I pivot to beat this? Now, don't get me wrong. If they're all mech rolls and Omega Buster, everything, you're like, okay, they win the lobby. Fine. That's a high roll. But in general, those mech mid games feel like you have a lot of decisions to make.
My pivots have been like, let me get a better mech board than them. that's my pivot. Like, you know, oh, they have a mech board, a Mega Buster, you know, a mech roller too. Okay, let me just get a better one. Like that's my strat. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. It's been interesting.
I agree for the most parts where I do like it as well when mechs are in. Like when mechs are out and I don't have a hero like Jandis, Hooktusk, who comes with the manual of hit the tokens, do the thing. I feel like I'm in this free fall and I just like, all right, I just gotta grab a hold of something or I'm just gonna crash and die. So in those games, I find myself playing juggler so often because it's just like, well, it's the direction. I can do something. You know, you have this game where mechs are out, but Eagle is still the best thing you're playing. And then you still go to 3 because your curve works that way. And then you're like, all right, I'm in damage control mode already because I didn't hit the nuts on tier 3. So I do feel like the game becomes a lot more of, if my hero doesn't have built-in direction, man, this is going to be rough.
Yeah, something I do want to talk about is sometimes I feel like leveling to 3 early is just like, I'm throwing the game. Like, what am I doing? I should have stayed on 1 and just Chinese curved it up all the way up to 4. You know, because sometimes like you'll level to 3 and I'm starting the game on like 20 health. And I'm like, how can I recover? I've already lost. You know, so I really have to be careful on leveling at 3. Either the hero has to specifically demand it, or the curve just works out perfectly where like the 3 is free and I don't have to worry about it early. Like, all right, like I'm playing Omu or something. Even Omu can stay on 1 actually. So like, yeah, you know, questions. But I've just been like seeing myself level to 3, taking like 15, 20 damage early and being like, I'm so like behind. Like everyone is like healthier. What am I doing, right? And since everyone else is like just staying on 1 and stuff like that, you know, playing super, it's like relatively high tempo. You just take so much damage and it's so hard to recover. So I just think
I take a step back, even a turn there. I feel bad if I'm leveling to 2 on 2 most of the time.
Okay, I can see that.
If my hero doesn't really enable Jeef curve, or my hero doesn't give me some incentive, or Reform curve, or whatever it might be, and some incentive to try to level to 3 immediately, then that like level on normal curve line feels really bad right now. There aren't 2 stars I necessarily want to buy. You lose the tempo to the people that stay on 1. You go to 3 and you're like, I have 1 turn to find something before I'm in damage control mode. Because it's like turn 8 or 8 gold turn. You're on 3 on your normal curve. You're sitting there like, I really wish I was on 4 right now. I have nothing on my board. I might have a pair. I gotta buy some things, and then the game's passed you by. It feels really weird leveling on that curve right now. I'd much rather do Jeef curve level to 3 on 6 gold, or have another hero that really is enabling something like what you're saying, the Chinese curve, or having Reform curve. Because when you have those baked in win conditions and ideal curve types where you're taking early triples, that's a much better place to be than, hey, I bought 2 stars. Yeah. Why am I buying 2 stars?
Because I'm Flurgle, you know. That's
even Flurgle's a different.
Yeah, Flurgle's a different beast. Yeah, I agree.
It's even worse when you buy 2 stars, but then on 6 gold, that's when Bob gets you. Like, now the level is awkward and the shop is trash. Good luck.
Ouch.
Those are the worst. I mean, we talked about that. Like, if you go really retro, like way back in the day when people really always leveled on like that normal curve, that normal level to 2, level to 3. Everybody talked about how shitty it felt when you had a bad 6 gold turn. And yet nobody really thought ways around avoiding playing that, that turn on 2 on 6 gold. We were like, I guess we can just level, and then like maybe your hero power costs 2 and use it or something.
I kind of wonder how much better like you would be like if you were dropped into like the beginning of Battlegrounds. You just win every match. Like, is it just that easy?
I just play Brad Khadgar every game, dude. Just go.
Yeah, for real though.
Oh yeah,
look, we forgot about Khadgar for way too long.
That's true.
Like Murloc's a beast in every game.
You actually win every match. You actually win every match because no one knows how to do that. If you're not streaming and you're just like playing,
people will call you cheaters.
Yeah, they would.
Like,
they would. All these goals.
That's so true, dude. This random player is cheating. I fought him once. He had like 20 triples. That must be a game hacker.
Yeah, for real.
That's so
Bears would
true.
play better than me.
That's actually funny, yeah. But yeah, it would be a different beast for sure if you just had this knowledge over like 2 years of playing. So, yeah, but overall, I do think it's pretty interesting to see how you can decide how to change your player, change what comp, or know what other people are going to rush based on just looking at the hero selection screen. So I think that's pretty cool. And I believe we have one more topic. Yes, we do. Favorite minion interactions. I think this is a pretty fun one. Just like some of the interactions in the game that you kind of like. Hey, I love when I do this with that, or I'm playing this hero, it lets me do this, which you can't really do with any other hero. It's pretty cool. I didn't put hero interactions in, but toss that in. I just was too lazy. You know how it goes. But yeah.
Those are really cool pairs, but all of them could just be a Mega Buster and it'd be a better graphic there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, in Mega Buster and then LP gain, right? I should have put that in there. A Mega Buster and LP gain. That would have been so good. Yeah,
Buster plus mystery card would work too. Anything.
Yeah, I just had like a couple ideas in my head, like, oh, this is cool, this is cool, this is cool. But they like this, so, there's one that's my least favorite, but I bet you can't guess it. It's 20%. Shady, you can't guess, so
The meme comp demon one you have in the middle there with the health and Terracosa, especially with certain heroes enabling it, is actually disgusting.
Yeah, but
it's like
Vol'jin,
you see the 3 tribe, you see beast plus demon plus dragons in, you go, I'd really like to make this happen. Is it good? No, on average, not really. It's more of a meme comp. But man, if I could have 1,000 hit point dragons, that'd be great.
You have to have Murlocs out, and even then, like beasts. If you want it to really work well, you need beasts in for the Macaw synergy. So like you can try doing it without Macaw, but it's a lot harder because you have to like buff it yourself. It's just like
with Vol'jin, it's just hilarious.
Yeah, with
you
Vol'jin,
just move the stacks back on the dragon or the demon. So
dude, I lost the game to that.
Cool.
Dude, I put him to like single digit HP, and I didn't think about the ramifications of not killing him. I didn't think about it. So it was like top 2, and he had like 30,000 HP. I was like, I messed up. I messed up right there. That was not right. I forgot about it. I should have picked up like so many. I should have like swapped my comp to Murlocs. As soon as I fought him, I was like, oh, he had like a casual like 40 HP minion. I was like, oh, it's fine. I can skill past him. And then I got wrecked. So yeah, it was cool though. Now next time I'll figure it out not to let them live. So, but yeah. Any cool combos you have, Shady? Anything you like interesting?
Yeah, so bit of a meme, but I actually don't hate playing with Tony. I haven't really been making Golden Hogger as often, but
really?
Golden Eliza and even Golden Nosy Looter, man, that's not a joke. Before you couldn't play Nosy Looter, you would just die in the previous meta. But now it feels like sometimes you just go like, I guess it's Nosy. And if you're ahead enough of the curve, it can actually win you the game. Like I had an Omu game where I was just ahead of the curve, picked up a Tony and a Nosy, and then like a Void Lord to make it happen. Just drafted that specifically for that. And I was like, okay, I get a golden card every turn, and then next turn I got like a golden result. I was like, all right, let's slap that on the board that goes with the Void Lord. So there's some cool stuff you can do with that. And then for MMR, it's the one I mentioned, right? Gem Splitter, Deflecto, Shaker. That's the nuts for me right now.
Makes sense.
One I'd like to add in there is obviously these are like the combinations we have here are almost like direction giving combinations of units where you're like, okay, cool, double Holy Mackerel, we're going to do that. Oh, we got Gem Splitter plus Mastery Allies plus Elementals and Gem Generation or whatever. And you're like, okay, we can do that. One of them that I found a lot of success recently with is Peggy plus anything that's another pirate in the mid game while trying to pull for like Menagerie lines. I know Menagerie is not considered as good in this meta, but just being able to put Peggy on the board while you're trying to pivot toward 3 or 4 tribes means that you're effectively scaling off of a unit that pirate, other than Peggy, is going to be your long-term value. And you just get easy free stats over and over and over again. I had a game last night that I thought I was in like a Peggy comp. I got a hold of a golden Peggy and one other pirate. It doesn't matter what pirate. And I ended up just ending the game with golden Tarek Gosa and promo drakes and shit. And my board was just this mismatch of bullshit, but it was generating something like 40 stats a turn just passively as I played the game. And it was like, okay, well, it's not going to win the lobby, but it's an easy second place. And those kind of generations and those type of interactions, like Peggy is a very healthy card for this game. It fits in lots of scenarios. It forces you to choose to buy things, which is not bad for the game. And even if you don't get into like a cohesive final strategy, you can remain competitive for a while. It's kind of like, making something out of nothing type of boards. I really like that interaction.
It's really good with double golden hogger as well. Just gonna throw that.
Oh yeah, it's quite good there. Quite good.
Yeah, I love it.
It's a much lower roll version of like a cool interaction that exists, but you don't always get in a high roll board, right? Making use of those broken board states can sometimes be fun.
Yeah, pretty cool.
It is cool to be able to play APM Pirates again. Like
yeah, right.
Really, you would just die right before, but now it's playable again. It's good.
I've been playing it, and that's a like what?
That's saying something.
Yeah, the 2 toast plus Hogger line has won me quite a few games where you're just like acolytes, put them on the board. We're going APM Pirates next turn. As long as we don't just shit the bed on this combat, we get a golden Hogger, and now it's go condition. Right there.
Yeah. I've been having lag issues, with like specifically like elemental APM.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Okay. It's
sure.
like
I close the game after every game.
Every round.
Is it like the weird micro stutter that you get like on every attack animation or like even some of the buy animations?
Yes.
Like, is that one
unplayable?
Like it comes and goes in patches. Sometimes it's really bad and sometimes it's not as bad. Right now it seems really bad.
I normally don't have big lag problems, but damn, it was like unplayable. I was like, is this what Shady's dealing with? Because damn, it's like, I can't do this. So yeah.
Every time I complain about lag, I look at Jeef and what he used to run as like when he was rank 1 North America and he was basically playing on a toaster. And like his game would run at like 20 FPS and he's just destroying lobbies. And you're like, well, what do I have to complain about? That guy is literally running at 20 FPS and beating the shit out of us.
You can even, to a lesser extent, if you see XQM playing on Americas, you can just watch him struggle, like physically, like clicking the cards, like, come here, buy it, or play it, right?
When I used to stream mornings, I streamed entirely EU gameplay back about a year ago, and then I moved back to NA, and I was like, oh my god, it's fluid. I don't have to deal with this half a second lag every animation.
Yeah,
that's miserable.
Yeah, it can definitely be rough there, but we pull through it because that's what we do. We like that pain, or something.
Ooh, you got a good question in chat. Do you like the Dong APM pirate or like the pure APM pirate builds in this meta?
In this meta,
I know where this comes from, by the way. It's because we talked about it in my chat, but it's good. I'm interested in that too.
Yeah, I like those discussions. Oftentimes, I end up in the Amalgadon lines because it really depends on what tribes are against you, and especially in lobbies where you have things like
maybe I'm too lazy.
You can get online very quickly with like the Bran Amalgadon, very cheap things, and then you turn the corner so fast. If you have 5 turns, go for the big, the super high roll. But oftentimes you don't get all the tools, right? You have the Hoggers, but you didn't get a hold of the Salties and other stuff. You get the Brand, and you're like, okay, well, we can take the exit ramp right here. This oftentimes still gets first, and we don't risk anything.
Yeah, I'm lazy. I was gonna say I'm lazy. I just want. I got 2 Hoggers, got a Peggy, got a Salties. I turned brain off in the sense I like it's actually brain on because I have to look at every single card and buy the APM
compared to the other one, right? Because you can just be like pirate.
Yeah. Where, you know, if I have to play Amalgam, then I have to look for brand, I have to look for the pieces, I gotta wait for the right
I
moment.
hate making decisions. It's awful.
Yeah, you know, like, come on, you know, I'm trying to make the game as easy as possible. It's already complicated enough. You want me to think on top of it? Come on, you know, too much for me. But yeah, I mean, if you can get it, especially if you have a brand already, like just because it works really well with the 4-3, then it's a lot easier to just be like, I already have the brand. Let's just put these Amalgadons in and go from there. And you have infinite gold, so it's like, I'm going to roll into Amalgams at some point. And with the poison, like golden, make Murlocs golden, like it's very easy to like, okay, I'll buy that, make a golden Amalgadon. Okay, it's very easy to just like get two.
I mean, the dongs get taunt most of the time, right?
Yeah, two perfects.
For
yeah.
poisoning it is rough with the 2/6.
No, I mean you get the 5/5.
Oh, you mean the chef, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
no,
to make it golden, right? So
Good thing when you screw up your Malgadon, you get to see 700 boards to repair it. No big deal. No top spins anymore does make it worse, but just gold the Malgadon. It's fine. Don't worry about it. We're moving forward.
For sure. Dude, I've seen so many players like buy a Malgadon, I don't like it. Okay, another Malgadon, I don't like it. Okay, another, like they just have like so much gold in this meta that you're just like buying a Malgadon, trying them out, like I don't like it, sell it. Like you're playing a Elemental or Pirates or whatever, and you're just like, yeah, I don't like this one. All right, as the golden one, all right, this one's okay. All right, where's my next one? It's very different compared to like, okay, I have one chance. This is my one play. Let's play it. Oh, it didn't get poisoned, but it got shield. I guess it's okay. I can make it work. Nowadays, like, oh, I didn't get everything. So let's just go for a new one. So yeah, it's pretty different how the meta has changed and how valuable some minions have become. And the Amalgadon's valuable, but it's like valuable in a way that you can just sell it if you don't want it, if you don't love it.
We lost Faceless, but we got Hamul. And when you're on 6, they kind of do the same type of stuff there, especially when you're talking about Amalgadons. You're getting access to a bunch of them. You're getting access to a lot of boards with the APM lines. That's where we kind of came from for the conversation. And yeah, you can just shoot for Amalgadons, and when you miss, you miss. Who cares? Next one.
Yeah.
Eventually you'll hit.
Yeah, I didn't like Hamul when it first came out, but now, you know, I was like, damn, it ruins my 6 pool. But now I'm like, yeah, Hamul, good guy.
But Hogger can be in that Hamul. This is the shit.
Yeah, dude.
Like, shit, man, I have a Hogger on the board and I get offered Eliza or Hamul. Most of the time it's Hamul anymore.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Elementals are the same way, right? You know, it's like, damn, there's just a lot that comes. Beast too as well. When you can just be like, yeah, this is better than any 6-drop I could take here.
Yeah, I'm a Nomi board and I get offered a board full of elementals. Yes, thank you. I'll take that. That would be great.
I appreciate this turn, you know.
This is nice.
Yeah, you have Golden Hugger. It's like, oh, the whole board costs what? 0? Okay, I'm good. Sounds good to me.
Fine.
Yeah, so pretty nice. And anything else you got, Shitty?
I actually recently come to enjoy that like more vanilla pirate style more, but I think that's because there's just too much going on where like I have so many rounds where I just have like 2 Hamuls in my hand and I would never get around to playing them because I've got too much gold. And I feel like if I don't have to use my brain, like you say, right, when it's just pirate, then I feel like I'd be able to play those Hamuls a lot easier.
Yeah.
And it's just like, all right, I'm going to buy Baron, I'm going to buy Selfless, and the rest is pirates. Let's go.
Yeah.
And that's probably, you know, if you get your salty looters and your peggies, then I think that's probably preferable for like 99+% of the player base because it's so much more straightforward than, okay, I gotta bank the module, I gotta bank the dawn, I gotta wait for a golden brand, blah 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 blah. Because sometimes you want to make your transition and you look at your board, you're like, shit, it's just a bunch of Murlocs and like Undivined Shielded dogs, and it's not actually good. So
I was watching someone play like Hogger, double Golden Hogger scaling, and someone in chat was like, oh, get the Flat Tusk, and I was like, Flat Tusk is negative scaling. Like,
yeah, it really is.
Yeah, I was like,
great. Blood gems free, awesome. Unfortunately, it takes forever for the animations.
So it's just like kind of funny, Eric. Oh yeah, Flat Tusk is great. No. It's
the same thing with APM elemental lines. Like Flat Tusk theoretically should be so good there, but it just ends up being so bad. It's so slow.
Yeah.
It's a very sad thing when a theoretically good interaction is just trash because we have to watch the gem come to your hand and then the cards move around. You're like, let me play my pirate. No, a gem is going to land here in just a moment. Like, you can't do anything.
It's like back in the day with the Arcane Anomaly or whatever it was called, the 3/3 AoE buffer that took like a 4-second animation. If you played it with Bran, it was like taking a bathroom break in the middle of your turn.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It still is like that with the reroll anomaly thing where it's like, you have a golden Bran, watch that 3 times. It's just it's so bad.
Ooh, this is pretty. Ooh, this is pretty.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting and weird. Like I don't know, animation like they sometime I think last year, right? They improved the animation speeds and stuff, and now I'm like, did you do that? I would love another one, please. Yeah, so like, yeah, it's really
the mantra with APM Pirates to do 100 things well instead of 50 things perfectly. It comes down to the same shit with the animations too. Like, I want to cycle all these elementals, but I get nearly infinite boards right now. I'm not buying this 1/3 because this takes twice as long to play as the other ones.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous. Like, I'm really talking like we've gone around the edge of like an APM elemental build quite a bit here, but like the Gallywix versions or the Millhouse versions that literally go infinite or go to like 50 plus boards.
Reroll
the recycling Wraith is nuts.
It's so good, yeah. On Millhouse, just generally,
it's almost a win condition with Millhouse and Gallywix, the two of them. They both do the same thing. They can buy an elemental for net 1 gold. So they get a free reroll off of it, and you just play domos, nomis, whatever it is around it, and you're just like, okay, cool. If I live 2 more turns, I win the lobby.
Yeah, it's crazy, dude. I had a game like that today where I was just like, damn, dude. I messed up because I sold my nomi, and I was like, I turned in because I thought I needed it. I did it. Well, I mean, I kind of did, but I didn't. And I was like, if I just played it an extra turn, I would have got like plus 30, and then I win. It's like, okay, well, that's I'm never doing that again. Yeah, like, I'm keeping my number this time.
Zolorian in chat giving us flashbacks. Remember the original poison animation?
Oh.
Every combat with that long ass poison.
Oh yeah, I do, dude. That was so bad. Oh. Oh yeah, dude. Oh dude, I hate it. Oh yeah,
It was like a 2-second animation on every poison that hit another poison or anything. And it was like, oh my god, I'm gonna take just an hour to get through this combat. That was back in Megasar day.
It's funny because you can create board states that like skip the whole shop phase. Like it's like yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a problem we have not talked about in any way. But the fact that your animation speed and incentivizing skipping combat is a part around some of these builds is definitely something Blizzard should be looking into. That, Exodia Pirates was kind of the example from before where you can literally have a combat phase that lasts longer than your next buy phase, and then it just skips your turn. That kind of stuff's pretty unhealthy. It's a back burner problem, but it should probably be addressed eventually.
Yeah, I don't know how you do that.
We'll not go down that rabbit hole.
At some point, if it takes too long, it cuts to the end. Yeah. Did you?
Yeah, it needs to. There's other games that do that where they speed up the animations after a specific amount of time, so you only have 30 seconds for the fight regardless of whatever it is. Something like that would be a pseudo solution. Can you imagine the pirates just whizzing through though if they sped up the animations on Exodia?
Dude, someone would just set it up.
Just add a cannon. We're like, just like fire the skellies.
Just pops up, you lose.
That would be sick, But yeah, it'd also be like someone would like break that. Like they would just create the theoretically max number and just like have 2 of them on the board, with your friend, and just like hit for 2 and 1 every time. Like it's fun. But yeah, think that is the last topic there, so that shall be it.
Didn't that actually happen in Standard at one point with like Shutterwalk animations? There was a build that just went through their entire buy phase, so it skipped their turn every time.
Yes, and that was fun.
That's funny. Broken, but funny.
I don't know, like it's a creative way to win. You know what I mean? Like Hearthstone's giving you the tools, and you're like, I'm just gonna skip their turn. Like
that's my position. Grief them to death.
Actually funny, but yeah, that is our show for the day. I think we covered all the topics, and I did not put an end screen today, but that's my bad. But I want to thank everybody for participating. Thank you, Shady, for being here, and thank you, Bofer, for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed our conversation.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, make sure you give him a subscribe, a like. We appreciate your feedbacks, comments, improvements, and suggestions. You can reach us as hsbgpodcast@gmail.com. You can find me and Shady, Educated Collins, and Shady Bunny on Twitch and Twitter. And where can we find you, Bofer?
I'm on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube, all under the same username, Bofer_HS.
Yes.
Thank you guys for all the support.
You reminded me. You have your dog is your header
profile.
What's the story? Everyone loves talking about their pets. You wanna share the name?
I realize that the majority of people that pop into my stream /YouTube are really just watching the dog cam the entire stream. That I'm just the pseudo entertainment.
I know the life,
corner,
dude.
but
I know the life.
Realistically, they're there for the dog. It's not about me at all.
Preach, dude! My balloon.
It's all about
my
the dog,
god. Flashbacks.
Collins out that with a balloon for a while.
It's the entertainment. It's the true appeal of the channel. Yeah, look at that. People spamming the damn emote.
But it's great. But yeah, that shall be it for us.